You've been clear. You've stayed calm. You've explained more than once how something hurt or upset you, and still, no apology, no acknowledgement, no ownership, just deflection, defensiveness, or complete silence. If you've ever felt like you've tried everything or even begged someone just to say sorry, then this talk is for you. Today, we're unpacking why some people just don't seem to be willing to apologize, even though it's obvious they've hurt you, and what that reveals about them, not you. But first, if you're new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. Take a second, introduce yourself in the comment section below. If you are back again, it is always good to have you. My name is Julia Christina. I'm a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, and the author of my book, Drive Your Own Darn Bus. And I help heart-centered humans think better, feel better, and live better so they can like themselves and their lives more every day. So let's just start by looking at what an actual apology requires. Because maybe you felt sometimes like, well, they kind of apologized, but it actually didn't really help. So what's going on with that? Knowing that a real apology is more than just saying, I'm sorry. An apology that actually heals and isn't just words requires 4 things. Number 1, accountability. The ability to take ownership without making excuses. Number 2, empathy. Not just saying, I'm sorry, but being able to say, I can understand how that had an impact on you. Number 3, emotional regulation. Staying present, staying with the person and not being reactive or getting defensive or making excuses. And number 4, the willingness to feel discomfort by not shutting it down and not making it about oneself. Because yes, owning our mistakes, admitting our mistakes, acknowledging when we have had a negative impact on somebody else is uncomfortable, it doesn't feel good, and it can be really hard. So being able to just sit with that discomfort, that in and of itself is a huge sign of both emotional maturity and emotional intelligence. But here's the thing. People who are struggling with their emotional maturity struggle with all 4 of those things. When someone refuses to apologize, it's not always because they don't care. Often it's because they don't have the emotional capacity to tolerate that discomfort that comes with being wrong. For emotionally mature people, being wrong or making a mistake feels uncomfortable. For someone who is emotionally immature, being wrong or making a mistake feels intolerable, and it can even feel threatening. So instead of accountability, they protect their ego. And instead of repair, they defend themselves. And that pattern has so much less to do with you and has everything to do with what's still underdeveloped in them. Think of a real apology like lifting weights. It does take a certain amount of strength to be able to say, I hurt you, and that wasn't okay. And I want to understand what that was like for you. But emotionally immature people haven't yet built that muscle. So instead of lifting the weight, they drop it or they throw it back at you. So you have a feeling that the person that you're thinking about right now really struggles to apologize, and maybe they never really do, or maybe they kind of do, but it never really feels all that satisfying, and it doesn't heal or acknowledge what actually happened. So now I'm going to walk us through 5 common apology patterns that emotionally immature people often use and what each one reveals. The first emotionally immature apology pattern: the non-apology, the I'm sorry you feel that way. It might sound polite a little bit at first, but that's not an apology. It's a distancing move. They're not owning their behavior. They're not acknowledging the impact. They're making your feelings the issue. You say something they said made you feel hurt, made you feel small, made you feel like they were belittling you, and they say, well, I'm sorry you took it that way. See how that puts the problem back on you? Another emotionally immature apology pattern, the justifier. Sorry, I was just really stressed that day. Now, technically, they did say sorry, and it's almost an apology, but not quite, because they were focusing on explaining or justifying their behavior instead of acknowledging the impact that it had on you. And although it might be true, they might have actually been stressed, but that's not an apology. That's a deflection, and it doesn't actually help repair anything. Our next emotionally immature apology pattern, the guilt flip. Well, I guess I just can't do anything right. This one is sneaky because it looks like self-blame, but it actually pulls you into comforting them instead of them taking any kind of responsibility or real accountability and then getting to any kind of resolution. You say, that joke really hurt my feelings. And they collapse into, I guess I'm just a terrible person. I should probably just stop talking altogether. It sounds like they feel guilty, but it's actually just a way for them to avoid any kind of responsibility, let alone that accountability. And our next emotionally immature apology pattern, the quick fix apology. Okay, fine, I'm sorry. Can we just move on now? This kind of apology isn't actually for you. It's for them so that they can get out of their own discomfort as quickly as possible. It's not about repair. This one's about escape. And our fifth emotionally immature apology pattern, the victim apology. Wow. So I guess now you're mad at me too. Great. This one flips the script entirely. This one has not become about your hurt. It's become about theirs. They've made it about theirs. They've made your request for accountability seem like an attack on them. And suddenly, you're trying to defend your right to even bring it up in the first place. Or maybe you now feel bad about bringing it up and feel like now you've caused more harm, even though your attempt was never to cause harm. It was to address maybe theirs and to create healing and reconnection and resolution. So why is apologizing so hard for someone who is emotionally immature? One word. Can you guess it? Shame. To them, being wrong doesn't mean I messed up or I made a mistake. It means I'm bad, I'm unworthy, I'm broken, I'm unlovable, and that shame is so unbearable that they do anything to avoid it. So they justify, they deflect, they blame, or they shut down entirely. And the truth is, people who really struggle or maybe even can't take responsibility or apologize often grew up in families where they never saw real repair happening around them. If someone grew up in a home where blame, silence, or emotional withdrawal were the norm, then they don't just know how to say, I'm sorry, and take that responsibility in a meaningful, real way. And here's why this matters. We're not making excuses for them. We're working to understand what's really going on here. Because when someone avoids that accountability over and over again, it can start to mess with your head. So then you might start over-explaining, apologizing for things you didn't do, taking responsibility for their feelings in the midst of it all, doubting your own memory, shrinking, downplaying, or denying your truth. And if this destabilization in these kinds of situations is something that you struggle with, then coming back to yourself and recentering yourself is going to be really important. And I have a free guide that's going to help you with that. It's called my 25 Power Thoughts. And this is a guide that's going to walk you through different stabilizing, centering thoughts that you can practice when you are starting to feel off, when you are starting to lose yourself, when you are starting to feel anxious or worried or thrown through a loop. Each one of those thoughts is designed to help you just find that center again, find that ground underneath your feet again, and it's going to help when you're dealing with someone who is knocking you off that center, especially when you're dealing with someone who is showing emotional immaturity like this. So make sure you grab that 25 Power Thoughts. The link is in the description below. So now that you know what the steps are to a real, authentic apology, and you also know what a non-apology is and what it sounds like, let's look at what a real apology sounds like so that you can start looking for it when you are needing an apology. You can start giving it when someone else is needing an apology from you. And when and if appropriate, you can start to ask for the kind of apology you need. Because the truth is, some people are emotionally immature and not able to give a real, authentic, healing apology. But some people might actually be open to it. They've just never learned it, and they don't really know what it looks like or it sounds like. So here are a few examples of what healthy, emotionally mature apologies sound like. You're right. I didn't show up the way that I wanted to, and I'm sorry. How can we make this right? Another example? That was hurtful, and I shouldn't have said that. I want to understand your experience and how that felt for you. Another one, I'm sorry for how that came across. I get why that would have upset you, and I'm going to work on being more mindful with that going forward. No excuses, no rushing you, no guilting you, no emotional hijacking. These types of apologies are geared towards repairing the connection, not protecting the ego. And if no one has ever really apologized to you like that before, or if that key person in your life that you're thinking of right now has never been able to give you an apology like this, even though you've been longing for it and waiting for it, I want you to know that you're not asking for too much. You're asking for emotional maturity. You're asking for people to take accountability and responsibility. Because with no real apology, there's no real repair. And without any real repair, there isn't really much trust. But a healthy relationship cannot be built on that perpetual dismissal and that chronic avoidance. And if someone keeps hurting you and pretending like it didn't happen or it doesn't really matter, then over time, you're going to start to believe that your feelings don't matter, that your pain doesn't matter, that your experience of being a human being in this relationship doesn't matter. And over time, that's not just hurtful, it's harmful. So what do? First, you stop shrinking or silencing yourself to protect someone else's comfort. You stop overfunctioning in relationships where that repair is one-sided, and you anchor yourself in your own emotional maturity. You even can start asking for what you want or what you need, and they may not be willing to give it, even if you say, hey, there was two of us in this situation. It took two to tango for this conflict, and I've owned my part. I'm wondering why you haven't owned yours. Or would you be willing to own yours? Or do you see how you played a part in this as well? Now, somebody who might be struggling a bit with their emotional maturity might actually be willing to take a step back, humble themselves, and recognize their part in it and be able to say, you know what, you're right. But some people who are knee deep in that emotional immaturity and have never really developed that part of themselves may not even be able to give you that. They might continue to deny, they might continue to gaslight, they might continue to downplay, avoid, or turn it back and blame you. And if they do that, you continue to say what's true. You continue to stay steady, to stay calm, to stay grounded in yourself and be intentional and mature in how you show up, regardless of what they are willing or able to do with that. You hold your boundaries, you stay steady. This isn't about doing them any favors. This is about you staying in your integrity. If someone can't take responsibility and makes you feel wrong for wanting repair or wanting connection in the relationship, that's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of where they are underdeveloped. I hope you'll remember that you are not too much for wanting clarity, respect, and repair. If this talk helped you see something more clearly in someone else, or maybe even in yourself, then let me know in the comment section below what landed for you. And before you go, make sure you grab your 25 power thoughts. Those are the ones that are going to allow you to feel calm and sturdy and steady and centered, no matter whomever or whatever is going on either outside or inside of you. Let me know what connected with you in the comment section below. And until next time, take good care of yourself and take good care of those around you. Bye for now.